welcome to Behind the Soul Sign podcast, where we discuss all the things that go on behind the soul sign. My name is Shawnee Levine.
I'm Anitra Tatum.
I'm Courtney Williams.
I am Vershay Ward.
And we are really excited to bring on a very fun conversation today. But before we start our conversation, you guys already know when we start our meetings, we pull these lovely cards. And I don't know what it's going to give today.
Oh. It says, would you rather die before your partner or after?
It's very morbid.
That is
I don't know if I like that card.
I'll start. Don't have a partner. He can die before me. It's fine.
Oh, man. You know, that's pretty crazy. Let's just do it together. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That sounds better.
We don't have to be like Jack and Rose, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, Rose was low down, though.
She kind of was.
Yeah, because it was room.
She was.
It was room. Since we are in houses, what type of door do you think it was they were floating on?
That was an interior door, I think.
It was very, it was very detailed.
Yeah, it was.
Nice wood cut. Rest in peace.
Yeah, I would definitely want it to be like The Notebook, like us dying together.
Oh, The Notebook.
Oh, that's
The Notebook is amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
I love that.
Because I don't want to be without him, and I don't want him to be without me. So I feel like
I like that.
And if I lose my memory, come remind me every single day.
Dude, for real.
Every single day. Read about me every single day. Anything
I was like, I think Tyrese might watch this, and I don't want him to think like, I don't know.
Hey,
so
Tyrese.
I'm like, me or both of us? Yeah, it's probably both of us. Yeah.
It's the safe thing to say.
Yeah.
No. Okay, let's jump into it. Well, today's podcast, we are discussing some crazy real estate stories that has happened since we've been in the industry. You know, we get into real estate and you all don't see what actually occurs behind the soul sign, as we stated before. Right. But it gets pretty wild out here.
It does.
It gets pretty wild out here. Vershay?
I'm starting.
I mean, I don't know.
I can start because I have a fresh one that I'm like still healing from last week. Ooh. So got my buyer under contract. We are moving through the motions, got through inspection, got through appraisal. It appraised under, but it was fine. And then we got to the point where he needed to get loan commitment. So, you know, he's like sending in documents to the lender and things of that nature. He's a truck driver. And so I guess like during the beginning of the season, it's a slow season for him. So they required him to put $6,000 in reserves. They wanted him to have that. And then it ended up a lot happened. So I'm just giving you the short version. So just last week, before they were going to get him loan approval, they wanted him to get an additional $6,000 that they wanted to be in his checking account along with the $6,000 in his savings account. And he had to get a bank statement from his boss because his boss gave him the $6,000. He didn't have the $6,000, so his boss just gave him the $6,000. The lender was like, yeah, you can give it back, whatever. So and then we had to extend twice. We were supposed to close on March 7th, and then it turned into March 14th, and then it turned into March 18th. So on Monday, he had to have the additional $6,000 in his account. Monday comes around, he does what he needs to do, gives them the transaction history for the deposits, and then Tuesday goes around, we still didn't get cleared. Wednesday comes, and they sent him a denial letter because bank statements were fraud.
Oh,
stop it. I knew there was something.
What? So literally on the denial letter, it says deny, like in other, like bank statements were falsely edited, whatever the wording is.
Oh my God.
I didn't know, obviously. Like, he's not telling me this. Like, lender didn't know or whatever. So, the buyer is trying to like talk his way out of it, of just being like, oh man, they asking me this for A, B, and C. Like they should have did this, and this. Like everybody gonna get paid off of this. Like why can't they just push it through? Like that's not how it works.
That's
Meanwhile,
not
he
how
had a
it
Word
works.
document making his own bank statement.
Right, whole time.
Girl, the whole time. And it's crazy because like during the transaction when he had to ask his boss, he's just like, yeah, I told the lender like I don't want to keep asking this white man for things and like, and so like to know that all was probably just like him pretending.
I don't want to go back and ask myself to
I
get
feel
the bank
betrayed
statement.
by him
Can
too.
you-
Like you
Yeah.
just lying to me. Like you could have at least told me something, maybe, but yeah. So that is like what I'm dealing with now, because that was last week, and so now of course he's like wanting to hop right back in and well, let's get to it. Like he wanted his earnest money back, and then of course the listing agent, who was also the seller, so he's a listing agent in the seller, once he got the denial letter, like I didn't send it to him. I'm like, I'll let him ask for it, and then we talked and he's like, oh, he's not getting his earnest money back after telling me last week like if we don't get to close by Wednesday, he can get his earnest money back. But now that he saw the reason, like
Right,
so
it's hard.
that was crazy. So now I'm gonna have to send him to a whole nother lender and like go through the process again and like not tell the new lender and hope that like
It's
Well,
okay.
does he have the money or not?
He don't.
That's
All that's
because
been edited.
I don't know if we're doing this again. Do you even have some money?
I do.
'Cause-
And the thing about it, he's a referral, or else I would probably fire him. But like since I got him from my other clients, like I just feel like I need to get him to the closing table. But yeah, that
He said, I'm buying a house by any means.
do. And then he was like, he didn't want them to check because he's like, well, I use the $6K in the savings for the $6K that they want in the checking. So it's like, even if
Transferred it. from
he
account.
used those
Okay, so
those
he got
funds
the
too.
6K,
So even if it
not
wasn't the
12.
bank statements, he probably still would have got denied because they didn't see the $6K in the checking in. The
And this
savings.
is really frustrating,
Okay.
right? Because you go through all of this entire process from showing them homes, writing up contracts, negotiating on their behalf, getting
Yeah.
an inspection, waiting for appraisal to come back, paying for the appraisal,
Everything.
paying for the inspection, doing all of this stuff. And this is literally like, as a real estate professional, you'll work for 30, 45 days just to get through all of that and not receive a
not-
check.
Yeah.
So it's very frustrating, and obviously it's not all about a check, but
Right.
we're working,
Right.
and to do all of that work and to potentially not get paid,
And
for
now
it is
have to
frustrating.
potentially do it for another 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
Bless
That's
you.
a lot.
I just
Yeah.
hope
Bless
he
you.
learned his
Okay.
lesson.
Okay,
You got this.
Let's cheers up for Courtney here. Listen,
You deserve that.
we have Welch's over here, but it's in a very sexy glass. You
And we
know.
have
Cheers.
Vuvi Clico.
Yeah, we're drinking
we
the real
have
stuff.
what?
Vuvi Clico. This is not a paid sponsorship.
But it can be.
Booty. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, let's move on to some more crazy stories.
Okay, I can go.
Yeah, okay.
There's so many things that come to mind, obviously, when I think about crazy transactional stories. But the one that has been most recent, and I wouldn't even say crazy, just like an anomaly. Like I haven't seen it before. I was working with the buyer. She was looking for a condo. And we were looking for not even that long, probably about like a good month and a half. We found a condo. We wrote the offer. We're under contract. We get up until, I believe, our inspection contingency, and there was some mercury in the water to where we had to extend our closing date. We had already knew that by the time we got to inspection. And unfortunately, she came to me and was like, if we have to extend the closing date, I might not be able to buy the house. And I'm just like, well, why not? You know, like, extending the closing date, it happens more often than you think. You know, it's not a huge deal. Like, and I think it was like an extension of like a week or two. And this was on the seller's behalf. They needed some additional time.
Okay.
So come to find out, she did let me know that she had to turn herself in
To what?
to the Milwaukee County Correctional Facility. And
laughing.
at first, she said she didn't. She said she didn't want to tell me because she was still working with lawyers, of course, and wanting to not even have to do time at all.
Yeah.
But by time the point where we all were at in our transaction, she was like, yeah, I have to turn myself in. She already knew she was going to do time, didn't know how much time at the time. But I'm like, okay, that's okay. We're going to pivot. We'll figure something out. That doesn't mean that you can't buy the house anymore. You know what I mean? There's other ways around it. I did not know there were other ways around it, because obviously we all know sitting here at a closing, you do need your buyer present to sign all the documents, sign over the deed, the title, all that good stuff. So in my head, I didn't know how we were going to do it, but I told her like, hey, we'll figure it out. We'll still close even if you can't physically be there. So I reached out to our amazing title partners, and they did let me know that you can pretty much assign like a fiduciary. You can assign someone to sign on your behalf, like an authorized signer. So we were able to get that paperwork done. It was like to the last minute, like, because it took some time to get that work done. It had to be notarized, and I had to have the fiduciary come up with her documents and all of that. But we ended up closing, and we closed through the authorized signer. That person was like completely on board, and I got a jail call the day of closing and was like, thank you so much. Like, I'm so, like, I can actually come home to a house now. You know, didn't do that long. Did like, I think like 60 or 70 days, something like that. But yeah, that was just like it's just a crazy story, because you never know what can happen. You never know what situation she was in to even put her in that predicament. So there's no judgment there. Like, no judgment. But the fact that I was still able, or we as a team was still able to make that happen for her with our title company, and the lender had to be aware, because then the lender also was like, well, I need updated pay stubs, and if she's not going to be working for the past X amount of days, what does that look like for her lending? You know, so they were able to work with me, the title able to work with me, and it all worked out, and we closed, and she's now out, and she's free now. And I saw her not too long ago, and she's in her condo, living her best life. So yeah.
I love that. That was a good one.
That's a good story. Oh, good for her.
I had a situation. Well, yeah, it was a situation. It was more so on the seller side. It was like up until the last minute, like you were talking about last minute. So, first of all, the whole transaction was pretty much a fight, because it was all back and forth. The seller didn't want to do this, didn't want to do that. We made it through the negotiations and was able to get what we wanted out the deal, and everybody was happy. We get to closing, which we did have to postpone like twice. But we get to closing, and at 9 a.m. we were supposed to close. The seller wouldn't sign the closing documents. And refused. And the listing agent was like, yeah, my seller's not signing. Yeah.
What was the reason?
Now,
what was the reason? What's the reason?
So they were buying another house. They were selling a house, buying a house, right? Their other house, the lady who owned it didn't move out yet. She hadn't moved out. So they were in a standoff with the new house. So they were standing off with selling their house.
Oh, no. That's not right.
Yeah, and it wasn't right, because we had already postponed closing twice for the seller, on behalf of the seller. My client, her lease ended. She had to move. So she was in an Airbnb that whole time. You know, it was terrible. So it's 9 a.m. we're supposed to close. Literally, title closed at 5 o'clock. Literally at 4:50, he signed.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. At the last minute.
That's petty.
That's so
petty. Do you think that there was some type of like motive to that? Like they did that on purpose?
I do think it was something behind it, because it came down to the dollars. That's why they ended up signing at 450. I think, and I don't know this, but I think the listing agent lowered their commission in order to get the deal done. Because it was a money thing too, with them buying their new house. So Yeah, but
Money.
yeah,
That'll do it though.
That is insane. Speaking of insane, okay.
Oh, gosh.
This was actually very recent. I want to say about like 2-3 weeks ago. Oh, baby Jesus.
Okay, who you finna talk about?
Okay, so had a client, wonderful clients. I love them to death, and they're merging their families, right? Merging their families, so they're trying to buy this really big home. So the home is extremely big to the point that the banks were considering this to not be a single family home. So we had to do a lot of negotiating, a lot of going back with the underwriter, a lot of going back with the appraisal. It was extremely tough trying to figure out ways to work around it. So we found a way to get around it. Shout out to our lender partner, because we got very, very creative, because the appraiser did not want to lend them this property as a single family home, although it's a single family home.
right.
They just was like, it's not. It's a little bit too big. It has this, that. It's not a single family home. Maybe it's a boarding home. Maybe it's a duplex. Maybe it's a multifamily, but mixed use. But so it was a whole lot of back and forth to the point that my clients thought that they were not getting this property. And we were looking for some time, and it was like, this was the one. So a lot of the back and forth caused this crazy amount of pushing the closing date back another week till we figure it out, back another week. So the seller's like, okay, if you guys push this back one more time, not only am I taking it off, I'm putting it back on the market to another buyer, but I'm also going to have you guys forfeit the earnest money that you sent in. So it was crazy. Bam, we finally come to a conclusion that we can close. This was on Monday. We come to the conclusion, but we can only schedule closing on the Wednesday. Wednesday, my client had parent-teacher conference from the morning until like way after close. And it was like, we can't close. We're going to have to close on Thursday then, but our deadline was this day. And so it's like, okay, we got to figure out how the heck we're going to be able to close. So the title company like, screw it, we're going to go to their school during parent-teacher conference.
Come on, I love that.
Man,
Yes.
That's what I was thinking that you were going to say in my head.
Get to the school parent-teacher conferences. He's coming out in between talking to the parents, coming into like one of the rooms, right? Title company is there. They're both there, right? They're, they're merging the families. The title company is going over a document that kind of just shocked them. That it's not funny.
I'm sorry.
I'm
the TC, so I know what you're talking about.
We're in the school. The document is slid over. The couples read the document. Her eyes roll in the back of her head and literally passes out.
It's not funny.
During closing at the school. The title rep, he had to pull out something. I don't know what he pulled out, but these title reps come equipped,
literally,
and ready for anything.
Literally.
Are you serious?
Honestly,
yeah.
like
She
brought her
passed
back
out
to
for
life. I don't know what it is.
CPR or something?
It was something. I don't know what it was.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what they did.
I didn't know about that. That is crazy.
It was crazy because it was just insane.
How did y'all get her to come?
She came back to life.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know what happened. I feel like Anitra prayed for her. Like I know you were.
Now she came back to life.
No, seriously, it was very crazy. Like, what the heck?
I never seen somebody pass out.
Pass out, yes, at a
How
school.
did you react? Like what?
Nothing.
Right.
I was just like, man.
I hope she come too, so we can sign these papers before Wednesday come.
I'm like, please, no, seriously, because I did want her to wake up. I didn't want them to lose their earnest money. No,
What about her life?
I'm just joking. What about her life? No, but I didn't think, like, I just think they were shocked, I guess. I didn't care about her life.
Did it close?
Yeah, it closed.
It closed.
No, but honestly, it happened so crazy that you just be shocked in the moment. Like, you be like, what the heck is
You don't
even
know how
going
to
on?
react.
Like,
Oh
are
my
you
gosh.
okay? Are
That's
you
most
alright?
of real estate.
And mostly, like, she was breathing, right? So, she was just breathing. She just was asleep. So,
I just
shockingly.
wish I could
So,
have been there.
You won. Your story won. Your story won.
I won because all y'all still close.
Oh, you ate
You
with
will.
that.
You will close.
You ate with that. That's
You're
very
gonna
true.
close.
That is true. You will close.
Let's speak
You
it
will
into
close.
the
But you know
universe.
what's so crazy about all of this? All of us, well, except for Courtney, we almost didn't. It was to the very
To the last
end.
minute,
to the
yeah.
very last minute, to the very drop. And it's like this stuff is crazy, and I feel like real estate professionals, like we're not online like venting and stuff about
Right.
everything that's going on.
I've been thinking about that a lot
Yes.
lately.
And it's like it be to the dire. So you got to think about with every person in every situation. Not only are we dealing with our client, we're dealing with the title company, we're dealing with the lender, we're dealing with the seller side. So it's a lot of the same conversation happening about 4 or 5 times every time.
And a lot of managing emotions.
Managing emotions for sure. But no, I just want to thank you guys because it's good to be able to vent, laugh about it, get it out. My client is fine. I was able to even take her home because he still had to be there for to finish out parent teacher conferences.
I bet you was scared the whole way, the whole ride home.
Don't
like
pass out on me now.
Don't blink. Okay.
Just lay back.
Hold my hand while we get through these Milwaukee speed bumps. But
Right?
Oh
no,
my
it
God.
was real estate is crazy, and I mean it's just a lot. It can be nerve wracking, but I definitely wouldn't trade it. No transaction is the same. We never know what's coming our way.
Right.
No client is the same. So anytime someone reaches out to us and say I'm ready, we already are prepared. Like anything can go down.
Yeah, literally.
But we're gonna get through it as long as it's not fraudulent. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Courtney.
So, is there anything anyone wants to say to close this one out? Okay.
No.
I don't think so.
Pray
Stay
for us.
strong,
Pray for
ladies.
us.
Yeah. All right. We really want to thank you all for tuning in again to Behind the Soul Sign podcast. This has been great, and we just want to close this on out.
At the end of the day gon' end. Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo-hoo. So fraudulent bank statements, seriously?
Do you want to see the denial